Welcome to this episode of Star Wars Declassified, where we look into different facts and stories revolving around the Star Wars canon universe and lore. After the death of Darth Tyrannus during the Battle of Coruscant, the Master Sith Lord, Darth Sidious, finally revealed himself to the Jedi, and the Sith plan to eradicate the Jedi had officially begun underway with the initiation of Order 66. A military decision which saw almost the entire Jedi Order purged by the Republic Army. Two survivors of Order 66, Jedi Masters Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, were able to rendezvous at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant and devise their plan of action to the Sith threat. Rather than the two go after one Sith, it was decided by Yoda that they would split up. Obi-Wan would go after his former Padawan, Anakin Skywalker, now Darth Vader, on the planet Mustafar, while Yoda would confront Darth Sidious, the mastermind behind the Sith revival on Coruscant. This plan of the two Jedi Masters splitting up rather than confronting one Sith at a time certainly sparked a lot of fan questions behind the logic of the plan to begin with over the years. In this episode of Star Wars Declassified, we'll explore the reasoning behind why Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi decided to split up for their confrontation of the Sith, and what they realistically expected to achieve when fully knowing the odds were stacked against them. So why did the two last known surviving Jedi Masters at the time decide to split up, forcing Yoda in turn to face the strongest Sith in history all by himself, when Mace Windu, even unknowing of Sidious's true power, still went after him accompanied with 3 other Jedi Masters, and even then still lost? Well, while the answer to this is never really answered directly in the film, we can safely deduce the answer to this question thanks to both the Revenge of the Sith novelization and the Clone Wars animated series. First of all, it was actually Yoda's decision for the split-off. He tells Obi-Wan to go after Vader instead of accompanying him to confront Sidious. Now, the simple explanation of this is it was a judgment call made by Yoda, as Yoda doesn't deem Obi-Wan being strong enough to battle Sidious and believes he would be a liability in the fight, as Yoda would have to expend energy and attention protecting Obi-Wan instead of fully focusing on attacking. Now granted, Obi-Wan would have provided some additional help, but perhaps not enough to offset their disadvantage. It's also very likely Yoda also learned from a very similar scenario from Season 6 of the Clone Wars, where he fought Darth Sidious alongside Anakin in a Force vision, and ultimately lost that fight because he had to focus on saving his partner. Also, given Obi-Wan's track record in fights double teaming a Sith, it's evident he wouldn't be much of a use to Yoda. And considering at this point, all Yoda knows is that Obi-Wan may be the only other Jedi survivor out there, so bringing him to that kind of a matchup would be far too much of a risk, especially after Sidious already killed Jedi far better than him at lightsaber combat. Rather, Obi-Wan, while not an asset in a duel with Sidious, would be much more useful to instead go after the second Sith threat, his former apprentice, Vader. In Yoda's estimation, Obi-Wan actually stood a chance against Vader due to his history with him, knowing the strengths and weaknesses of the young Sith, as well himself being a master in the defensive lightsaber combat of Ceresu, which was the perfect counter to Anakin's aggressive style of combat in Xi'an. So with a bit of luck in the Force, at least one of their enemies would be defeated had Yoda failed. Finally, Matthew Stover's Revenge of the Sith official novelization goes into a little bit more detail than the movie script did, having even Obi-Wan doubtful that both he and Yoda would overcome Sidious after the Sith Master had defeated the 4 of the greatest swordsmen the Jedi Order had ever produced all by himself, with Yoda agreeing, saying true, but both of us apart, a chance we might create. Yoda very deliberately decided that there was no point in them facing Sidious together, and somehow, he saw correctly, as we later find out that separately they would set off a chance that would eventually free the galaxy of the Sith. He was correct in 2 ways. Tactically, the threat from Obi-Wan to Vader caused Sidious to abandon the fight in the Senate chamber where he may have finished off Yoda, and with him, the important realization of how to train new model Jedi. And strategically, Vader and Luke did eventually defeat Darth Sidious and put an end to the Sith Order, with Anakin in the end finally fulfilling the prophecy by bringing balance to the Force. And that'll do it for this episode. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and share it, along with subscribing to the channel to not only support it, but keep up with Star Wars news, gaming, and canon lore released every week. And consider following me on Twitter and Facebook to never miss out on the latest Star Wars related content. And if you want to support the channel, do check out our Patreon page. Along if you still want to continue the conversation, join us on the official Silo Discord server. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.